Right, here we are then, episode 2 of The Plug. Very privileged to have Nev Bradshaw and Neil Prince here with me for episode 2 here. This week we've got a new sponsor in, BMoto, so massive thanks to those guys. We'll be talking about them a little bit later on, but big thanks to BMoto for making the show happen today. Like I say, privileged to have Neil and Nev here, two very busy boys. What have you been up to the last few weeks since the last show, and specifically with young Mr. Tate the other day?
Yeah, no, it's been a busy couple of weeks since then. Just been busy at the training schools, obviously, been flat out to that, and then I've done one race, the first round of the MCA Championship, and then Tate's got this little like Ossett type of thing.
So Tate is your eldest?
Yeah, he's turning 6 soon, and we got Braxton, which is the youngest one. We got him like a little like electric balance bike.
Oh yeah, like one of those static.
Yeah, that's it. We got them. They're quite cool, and Tate was like, "Oh, I want to try it." So he tried it because he's never been into motorbikes before. So he tried it, and he thought it was the bollocks. He can do skids on it and stuff, and he's like, "I really want to try ride a motorbike again." I'm like, "Are you sure, dude?" Yep. I reckon I can do it. All my cousins can do it. I can do it. So I was like, "All right, I'm gonna go sort you out. I'm gonna take you riding."
You're smiling already. I can see it.
Yeah. So I'm like, "This is awesome." Yeah. So go buy him a bike. Got him like a little CRF 50, just because like the power comes in nice on it on the 4-stroke. So got him that. Got him some sick kit, helmet, boots, the whole deal, dude. He looked like McGrath. Yeah, he was loving it. So I take him I went practice in the morning myself to get ready for that race, and then after school picked him up quickly, rushed him, and he had to go to parents' evening. So just rushed him quickly, got him to VIP, and the guy said, "I'll just take him down the back." So we're going up and down sweet. You can do it like I'm running behind, on the gas, off the gas. He's doing it sweet. And then I tied like a rope on the bike and ran behind him, and he did like two or three laps. And he could kind of do it. He just doesn't.
Was he liking it?
He was digging it. Yeah. But he just he doesn't know you got to chop the gas to turn. So he's digging it and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I'm hungry." So by this time his mom gets there, and so I'm like, "Okay, cool. You've only got another 10 minutes because you got to go to your parents' evening." So I said, "Just go in this circle. I'm gonna let you go on your own for the first time. Go in this circle, mate." As I let him go, he turns the first corner, and the back end goes, and he just goes like that, wide open. So his mom's standing there with the other baby in her arm. And he's just wide open, and I'm sprinting behind him, saying, brakes, off, and he's just frozen with the gas on. Sam's just like screaming, like, dude, like she's giving birth, just screaming, and I'm running so fast, trying to grab the brake.
What, screaming in, like, she's scared, like?
Yeah, no, screaming, dude, because she can see what's happening. Yeah. She literally wet herself, dude. She had to go home and change her pants.
When you said that, I thought she was laughing at it.
No, no ways, dude, she wasn't laughing. That wasn't funny, dude. So I'm running behind him, and we're running up to this berm. It wasn't a berm. There's actually a banking on the side of the track, and I'm looking at the angle of this, and I'm like, this ain't gonna be pretty, dude. He hits this bank, absolutely pin set down, and he just turns upside down like this, right? He's flying to the air, lands on his head, and then the bike punts him on the back, and he's just screaming, and I'm like, "I told you to stop." I was like thinking, let me shout at him so that he takes his mind away. And then that was it. I was done, dude. Like,
the
honestly,
career was over.
He almost missed the parents' evening because I thought he was going to hospital. And I thought, like, that's the second time that he's been on a motorbike 2 times, and it's the second time it's happened. And dude, like, with the next one, because the next one really likes kids, I'm going to pay someone to take them, teach them how to ride, because I'm not.
That's your actual job.
Yeah, I know, but dude, like, it's different when, I think it's different when it's your own kids.
So his career's over, right?
Yeah, he's done.
Whose decision was that? His, Sam's, or yours?
All 3 at the same time, dude. We sat there, and I looked at her, and she goes, "You're quite pale," and I'm like, "That was bad." I'm like, "He's never riding a bike." I said, and his Tate like can't even breathe. He's got a massive bruise on his shoulder. He's ridden his first helmet off on his first day, and he's like, "Nah, it's not for him." But and then phones me the next day. He's on the Isle of Wight. "Oh, Daddy, can I go out on the Strada?" And I'm like, "No, mate. Like, you're done. Like, you don't understand. Like, you're not riding any motorbike again ever." So yeah, there was a short-lived motocross career for him, so saved me some money.
Now, you know, it's like when someone's working for you, watching you ride, and you make a mistake and go down, you're like, your heart's in your mouth. And when it's your own little one, like mine rides, and your heart's in your mouth.
It's
like,
scary, man.
Honestly,
how's Chaz's career coming along? Is he still riding?
He rides. If I take him out, like, he's edging to go out, put bigger wheels in the bike now. So, but he's like really chilled out. Like,
you normally put big engines in, don't you?
Yeah, normally, if I can get a bigger piston, it's going in there. But
big ball princess.
Don't start that again. So no, we don't push him, and like, I've got no interest. Like Neville says, like, let him ride. If he wants to ride, he can ride. You know, and it's like Tate. If he comes home and says, "I want to ride again," if he wants to do it, you've kind of got to give him that chance, you know. And I think with the little bikes, it takes a bit for them to understand when you shut the throttle off, the bike stops. Because, you know, when you're teaching people like Neville teaches and I taught years ago, is it's very hard to get that. I mean, we still get whiskey throttle nowadays. Like, you know, like the weekend, you had bad pump up at the championship.
Especially when you're 36 years old on a 450.
Yeah, you know, and you got to shut it off, and your arm actually doesn't work, and you have a few, like say 2 seconds of where you haven't shut it off. Honestly, your heart rate goes from 160 to 200 within a second. You know, and that second you're still under control, but still your heart rate, you know, it's pretty scary, really.
Sport, man. Definitely.
So Neil, let's just fill us in what you've been up to, where you've been. Obviously, Matley Basin 2 weekends ago, just back from Valkenswaard, and then you're jetting off again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been last 3 weeks. I've been pretty. Or last 2 to 3 weeks, I've been busy with Joel, trying to get ready for Valkenswaard. I looked after Charlie Putnam at Matley Basin on the
EMX2T.
Yeah, 2T. Well pointed out. That was interesting. That was a good event.
Yeah.
Charlie really surprised me. Like, he went really well. You know, like he practices or he rides practicing very relaxed, and he doesn't sometimes racing where he was relaxed. Matley loves to jump. A couple of times I thought he'd lost it, whipping it too much. I really did think he'd lost it, but he saved it.
One of those moments.
So yeah, he did okay. He got points in both races, which was important. And I think the second race, if he was a little bit fitter, he'd have got probably.
Is he doing the whole
11.
series of that, or just that one?
I think that's the plan. They wanted to see how it went at Matley Basin. It went well, so probably will do the rest of the events as well. It's a good championship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people like Neville can still do that championship and be on the podium. And Ando, like that day, shout out to him. Like, you know, last year I watched a few races and he was kind of, you weren't sure if he was going to win the race. Where at Matley, you watched them races, he was going to win them, whatever. You know, he went down and still back to do them.
I think Brad is like that though. Like when we were teammates in 04, we did the GP, a British GP, and I couldn't believe, like, the guy was getting shirts done. Like, he's got that real British pride.
Yeah.
Brad does.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And like that is like a big weekend for him, you know.
Yeah.
Like, he's got all his fans watching, all his sponsors, and you know, like, I think Brad is like a really big match temperament type of guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, when it needs to count, Brad does make it count, you know. And fair play on that weekend, you know, like 36, 37 years old, you know, like, and he's still taking it.
Especially like considering the hit he took at Hawkstone and then to bounce back from that. I was surprised to see him at Fat Cats for the British Championship. That was like 2 weeks.
And he rode mega at Fat
Yeah.
Cats. Just he ran out of fuel with the two-stroke, which is tricky in them conditions because he literally didn't shut it off for like 30 minutes. And both them races, I think he was in 6th place.
Yeah,
Which
I mean,
is
like,
pretty
it
impressive.
is impressive.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of the weekend then? Like at Matley, I could not believe how lucky they got with the weather.
Yeah, I mean, it was superb. I mean, you know, you need the weather. That made the event. The racing was like awesome. You know, the MX1, MX2, them guys, the level is massive. And then going to Valkenswaard the weekend, the level again, you know, it's like, I watched the GoPro of Caroli this morning actually. It was the qualifying race, and you know, you kind of advise a rider like say Neville or Joel or yourself. You go like, yeah, you need to this line. Like, I watched the GoPro, and one thing I realised today, and you know, like, I've been around too many years, but Caroli's just going really fast. Like, I watched, because obviously I was there with Joel, and I'd kind of walk the track with Joel and go, yeah, maybe we'll be here, maybe there, try this, do this. I watched Caroli's GoPro, and I wouldn't say he was doing any lines any very different to other people, but the actual speed he's going.
Just momentum.
You know, and as riders, you know, me and you can still ride. You know, you're still top level. I just ride when I feel like it now, and the speed he was going. You know, I watched the races, and I saw how much Geyser was putting into it to stay with Caroli. And when I watched the GoPro, Caroli's just going fast.
Yeah. I noticed that at Matley. I was obviously on track filming during the qualifying race, and Caroli's just gone out the front by himself. And he looked a bit bored.
Yeah.
He was the corner I was filming at. He wasn't doing anything. It wasn't like going, holy shit, look at him do that corner. It was just like every lap exactly the same, fast. And then I think he must have just got bored and made a mistake at the end.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that he looked amazingly quick.
Yeah.
But obviously he was, because you watch Geyser and you think Geyser's going as quick as you could possibly go on a motocross bike.
Same the weekend.
And then there's Caroli just
Yeah.
You know what I think is really cool about Caroli? You know, like say Jeffrey, like when Jeffrey was a little bit younger, like he was trying to win by like 30, 40 seconds, you know. Where Caroli's not like that. He like understands that if the fans want to see some good racing, you know. So like even that race in England when Garza got past him and then he put that charge on at the end.
Yep.
And he's known for that, you know. Like you always know like the last 3 or 4 laps the guy's gonna have a go. And also when he's in the lead, he's not gonna go stupid and try to win by 30 seconds. Like he manages it, you know. Like you know, like he like respects his components enough not to like, you know, make him look stupid or whatever.
But that's also probably why he's been around for so long, right? Like he's not trying to win by a minute every time.
He knows where.
So he's at his
sweet
comfortable level.
Time. Yeah.
He's not put over the limit. To win.
Well, I mean, the weekend, from what I saw, like Geyser was really pushing, and you know,
he had another big crash, didn't he, this weekend?
But that's kind of the way he rides. I think the level of speed he's going, you know, and when I watched that GoPro, it was kind of a bit strange to watch it because I thought I'd watch it because you know they kind of said the way they made it sound as if he had a moment, Caroli, in that GoPro. So I put it on, you know, and if you look at the start from Caroli from the weekend, every start looks the same. Just gets a start.
He's dialed in.
Checks out. You know, it's like he can nearly get the start whenever he feels like it. Hopefully for him, he does. And Geyser, when I was watching on certain parts of the track, was properly on the gas trying to stay with him. And Caroli, you know, I agree with Neville here. Like, Caroli kind of is thinking, right, there's no Jeffrey at the minute. I can run this speed. I can win the races. I don't have to really bust myself to go over the top. You know, and at Matterley, for sure, he just had a little tip over, cost him. And if you watch the GoPro, he nearly got close to having Geyser back at the end of that race. He crashed in the very last corner up towards the finish. And I think the weekend, you know, to me, it kind of says if Herlings is there, Caroli has another level.
Yeah.
And just looking for them guys, he's actually not shown that level yet because it's another step.
He doesn't need to lie.
Yeah, like you say, he's kind of, it's a bit like poker. He's like keeping his hand hidden, isn't he?
And he knows
not
it's a long
everything
season. You know, like the guys, I think he's awesome. You know, like his racecraft, his hunger to race, like how he, like his humility, like everything. He's a very natural, down to earth guy. You know,
I think he's a very good
like I think he's a great role model
champion
for kids.
For the sport,
yeah, 100%.
And it's pretty cool for that Lamborghini sponsorship, wasn't it? Did you see
that?
No,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, now it was on his Instagram last week. Like he's got a new sponsor, and it was Lamborghini.
Oh no way!
And he just rocked up in a Lambo.
Big balling, dude. Big balling.
Fair play, mate.
He's got to keep up with Herlings.
yeah. That's what I said. Like Herlings, like he must have bought a Lambo after winning the World Championship last year, right?
Yeah.
And then Caroli's sponsored by one, gets given one. That's got to like rubbing up the wrong way, doesn't it?
And I think Anderson was there as well, getting something to do with Lamborghini as well. Because if you saw the post, there was an Instagram of Anderson.
What? Jason Anderson?
Jason Anderson. He was doing I'm sure he was in Italy doing some type of test in a Lamborghini as well.
Ando's getting paid too much to do that MX250. Sign me up, dude. Sign me up. I'm going to get that old K500 out next round.
So just tell us about your weekend then with Joel. Obviously, young British kid, racing in the EMX 125, 15 years old, RFX KTM. You're his mechanic. How did the weekend go for him? I opened up the qualifying results and Motor 1 results on Saturday, and I was fist bumping. I was like, yes, go on.
Pretty awesome. Like, you know, I kind of know how Joel's going. I've been to the tracks, I watch him ride, and, you know, the first British Championship, you know, he won that, and I went to Sherwood. I was really impressed at Sherwood because them conditions don't really... I haven't seen him on them conditions. We go in sand tracks, not as conditions like that. The track was gnarly.
Fast.
Real sketchy in place, and he did have a big crash that day, but his speed there, I was really impressed. And then the weekend, you know, I think Joel actually, believe it or not, actually wasn't sure he'd actually qualify. I know that might sound a bit crazy, but...
Because there's a lot of English kids or British kids go there, and they're winning British Championship or British Youth Nationals here, and they go there and they struggle to qualify.
Well, there was 99 riders there.
Yeah.
So you've got 99, 40 places. So there's
only one
100 guys.
Mistake in qualifying. Yeah. Because there's no LCQ race either.
No, nothing at all. So it's 50 riders. Joel had 50 riders in his practice against qualifying. So the traffic was tough as well. So we got their bike out as early as we could. And he went out and he got a good lap in. He went into second. And then I said to him, do a couple of laps, come in and we'll see where we are. So when he come in, Joel, I was kind of, I said to him, he come in and you could tell he was like, not nervous, but you could tell he'd come in, stopped, and I went, you need to go quicker, like I need more speed. And he was like, oh, where am I? I said, you're second. No, I'm not. He used a bit stronger language than that, but he was like, no, I'm not. I said, no, get off your bike, go look, have a break. So he got off the bike, went and looked, and you could see he was uplifted. Like it was kind of not a surprise to me, because I kind of expected him to be up there, but I didn't know where. You know, he's either going to be wherever he's going to be. So he got back on the bike, and then I said to him, just find a clear lap, because on the lap he did, he overtook 2 to 3 people. So I said, just go get a clear lap, get the lap properly, don't bury the bike in any corners. That's one secret I keep trying to tell him. Not secret, but if you bury it, you lose power, as you know. So the very last lap, he went into pole in free practice. So I was like, fair play. So when I told him that again, I think he was a little bit gobsmacked again.
Language again?
No, he was all right. I think it was a bit of a relief in qualifying, which it would be for
relaxing for the rest of the weekend.
Any of them. You know, you don't want to be sat in 19th place and thinking, God, I actually really need a lap. You know, Joel's got the speed to do it easily. So then the first race, got a good gate and was just battling the whole race. Like the whole race was like a 4-man battle. The leader kind of got away. Joel was in second, but he had four or 3 people right on his tail, and he was unfortunate that he kind of got caught out on the very last lap, because he knew them guys were there, and I couldn't really say other than just keep attacking. You know, there's no, in a race like that when there's 3 guys behind you, you know, you can't say settle or...
You just got to ride the best you can.
You've just got to keep pushing if you want that position. So that's basically as we did it. And then in the second heat on Sunday, it's a bit hard to kind of swallow this one for me really, but he was battling again for the lead. Had a slight overheating problem, which is basically down to me. It was not the KTM's fault, not Joel's fault, down to me. So pretty much cost a DNF, and that was it. But what I took from the weekend is Joel was really fast, like one of the top guys.
Yeah.
So that puts a little bit of a different emphasis on the next race. We'll go there with the same attitude, or I will, go there, enjoy it, do the best you can, and if we can get a win or we can get a second, third, fourth, or wherever we get, just build for the next week. So, yeah, there was a lot of not possibilities, a lot of positive stuff about the weekend for us, so all good.
Joel was here last time.
Yes.
And he seemed like a nice lad. We had a chat. How, as a 15-year-old kid, then how does he take that? Did he take it well? I saw his posts on Facebook, and he seemed like pretty chill about it and everything. Does he take it in stride and just use that for the next round to? I
think he does. I read what he put on Gate Drop, and for me it was pretty impressive what he said. He actually, very nice words he said about me and everything. I don't go there to make a mistake. We all make mistakes. I've made plenty of them. Made one on Sunday morning. But I've got to move on from that, like he has, and take the positives. If you went to that race and you're battling for 20th to 30th, you kind of we'd have an awful lot of work to do. Well, we went there the weekend not knowing kind of where we're at with the bike, where we're at with his physical condition, we know where we're at, and I was quite confident with everything, but you don't know till you get there. And from the weekend coming away, I was quite happy, everything's working good, team's working good, bike's working awesome. And so we just got to keep replicating that and move forward to the next event, really.
Moving up a few classes then, let's talk about MX2 at Valkenswaard. Obviously, Prado was out for Matterley, comes back, wins the race. Now, do you think that's a little bit weird? How can you be in good enough shape to win it at Valkenswaard, one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, but just a weekend before you can't line up at Matterley?
What I heard happened, whether it's true or not, this is what I heard. I heard he was bench pressing some weight, or he was bench pressing something, and a muscle popped out of his back, and that made a hematoma on the muscle, and they had to give that time to settle. Now that's possible that's happened,
in a week.
and I would say they were probably, if he put, it's no different if me or Neville or you put your back out, you need like 2 or 3 days off to recover from that. And maybe their best advice to him was to give it 2 to 3 days. Maybe they did some treatment on it, got the muscle down.
Yeah.
The muscle settled back into place, if that's exactly what it was. And then he'd be fine for the weekend. From what I saw the weekend as well, he just turned up fine.
I think like a guy like that, like at this stage of the year, like he's done all his riding. He's done he's got a good base behind him, and also like you got to remember like he's in an experienced team. Those guys have been around for so long. So like fair play to him. Like obviously they've said like it's a long season. You dominated the first round.
But they did it with Jeffrey last year, didn't they?
Exactly.
Like they took him out of one of the races and said, just heal up, come out, you can still win
Yeah,
this.
exactly. It's rather do that and then be strong for the rest of the year than keep aggravating that injury and end up having the whole season having a problem. So. It takes a lot of balls to actually pull a rider that's leading the championship, but like if you look at the long run, I'm sure he's going to have no problem making those points up that he lost. Like he was pretty awesome on the weekend.
Which is mental because you watch Thomas Keir Olsen at Matley go, that kid, he's on it. He is talented. Like you said last time, like you think he's got the stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's actually for Prado to come along and just.
It's actually quite fun watching that class at the minute. You got that new Jacoby kid. He's hungry. He's cool.
He's really impressive.
And then you know who I like? I saw him a couple of years ago and I was quite impressed on the 80s at Geertz.
Yeah, I get
how he passed that guy on the last lap when he started that jump. That's pretty sick.
That's Ben Watson's teammate.
He crashed. Like he's got a lot of crashes, but the kid doesn't give up. It's nice to see. Like he's always fighting through. He's got he's like chilled, positive attitude about stuff. It's just you don't often see like a send like that. He just pretty much hit that single pin and managed to get the guy around the line. So
what I noticed the weekend, like just when you're on about Gertz, is a lot of people hate the format of MXGP, the age rule and stuff like that, MX2 age rule, and I don't really want to get into that. But what I noticed the weekend doing the Joel and the Charlie at
Matley.
What I've noticed is, maybe you can call me if I'm wrong here, but there's lots of like young riders coming up at the moment.
Yeah,
you look at that EMX.
There's 99 young riders trying to qualify for the EMX.
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot.
But the other thing that got me is that then you can see there's younger riders coming through. There comes a time when you've got to hang your boots up or you ride for fun or whatever. But to me at the weekend, I saw like lots of really good young talent coming up. So there's plenty of young talent for the 250 class. And
you
then
think about who's aging out of MX2 this year. You got like Sterry.
Yep.
He's up. Watson must be on there. Maybe one more year.
Did you see that guy that won the EMX 250? I think he won a moto in England.
Yeah,
he's a big guy.
Yeah, like, 250 the weekend he was.
Yeah, like I watched him on the thing. He was riding with 303
number, I think. Yeah,
but he looked massive on the bike. But he's just like
massive.
He's just like going through stuff, and he was like with like the factory boys. Like it's quite cool. Like people you've never heard of that can run like top 10 and stuff. It's quite cool.
The other thing that was interesting the weekend, like Liam Everts was there the weekend. Yeah. And it was like me and you putting Chad or Tate on the bike.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. If I put Chad onto Joel's bike and take it,
young kid,
that's what Liam looks like getting onto the bike. But there was at least 10 to 15 kids. Or I can't say an exact number, but when I looked down the line, there was some kids I was like,
young kids.
God, looks like
there was a kid from South Africa that won the. He won the 85 World Championship last. I think some rounds. I don't know if he won the whole championship, but he was his first round as well.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to see, as you say, like I saw him when he was in South Africa, like on a 60 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And then now the guy's like, he can go top 10 in a 125.
That's it. Yeah.
Like those jumps seem to become a lot quicker now. Like before it would take like 2 years to like get to the front of something. Now it seems like the kids learn so quick.
Seems to be so like the
fast
rapid,
forward.
Absolutely rapid, like so fast track the progress through.
And I think also what like has a lot to do with that is now that they've incorporated all these classes to the GPs, those kids from a very like 14, 15 years old are seeing how the scene works, seeing how the professional riders are, watching the professional riders riding the same tracks as the professional riders with the same lines as them, and it just seems to be bringing that group of kids coming from Europe.
I feel like the kids racing at home, they're left behind a little bit because then they go to an EMX 250 and if they've never done an EMX 125 before, they're like, oh crap, this is what it's like. Whereas the kids that have grown up doing like the EMX 65, 85, the 150 a few years ago, they know what it's like to race at a GP. Whereas if you race here all your life,
Yeah.
You win everything here, and you go there. It's like holy shit!
It's
like,
almost
this
like a
is
different
show.
sport, mate.
Yeah.
It's almost like a different sport altogether. Like, and you see it, like, you know, like, not knocking any British kids or whatever, but like, mate, there's a lot of like kids from different nationalities. You know, Joel's an exception. He's doing really well, but you know, there's like 4 or 5 French kids
coming up.
You know, like loads of kids. It seems maybe like the transition. You know, like. Sort of like how the Irish sometimes when they come across the water they're not as fast as what they are there. Maybe it's the same sort of thing with England, you know, when the kids.
What do you bring up the French thing? What do you think the French are doing at the moment to be as dominant as they are?
Because the federation is like bringing they paying coaches and they bringing their kids through. You know, like they've got good races. They've got a Supercross series, so the kids are technical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they're just working at it. You know, there's people there that are consciously bringing kids through all the time.
Because if you look at the motocross nations. Growing up, it was always the States. They had the deepest field of riders to pick from. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think you look at France. You think France can pick anyone?
I was actually watching that GP this weekend, and like just as on the couch drinking a Red Bull, and I was how fast those guys are going around a track in the state of Valkenswaard. Like, and everyone there's 20 fast guys. So top 20 in both classes are gnarly. In America, those guys don't even race races like that.
Yep.
You know, like, and those guys are going like 35 minutes on a track that rough with ruts everywhere, bumps everywhere. There's racing from 1st to 20th, like you're racing for your life in 20th place.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, like a guy like Tommy Sill, like mind blowing how he can ride a motorbike, and the guy's like between 15th and 20th.
But that's coming down to, in kind of Tommy's defence the weekend, like I watched the race, he made a mistake and crashed.
Yeah, he crashed in one of them.
And he got bad starts. And the starts are killing you, because I can explain that like a little bit. Is in the race, Anstey was leading the race, or he was up there. And
he was leading the race and he crashed.
And he went down. And Max was riding awesome as well.
I reckon he could have. I reckon that would have been interesting. I reckon he could have won that moto. Eh? The way he was riding
is that the one
race.
he got caught under his bike, didn't he? Like in his pants.
But when he got back up, he was with Colton off.
Yeah.
And the speed he was going, I can't confirm his lap times, but when he got back up, it's like if he starts 18th, he's kind of going to come to maybe 12th or whatever.
Yeah.
But if he gets to start, he can run at the front. And I think if he started 5th, he can run 5th easily. But if you start 18th,
so much depth in that field, you're not going to come unless you're like an
so
exceptional
close.
rider. You won't come through. You know, like guys like Caroli. You know, even what's a factory Kawasaki DeSalle comes through pretty good at times, but even like Portland, like if Portland doesn't get a jump, he can be 7th or 8th in a moto.
There's only one guy who comes through them. There's only one guy who comes through them, and he come through them the weekend like boom, and he probably knocks them out the way.
Van Hoobeck.
No. Van Hoobeck was good in the first race.
Yeah,
he's a
cool.
big bloke.
He dealt with Sean.
Yeah.
He dealt with DeSalle.
I think he is quality. I love watching him ride.
He properly just banging him out the way. Like he's a bit like a little bit old school. Not old school, but the way he goes into him and gets him out the way, he's coming through.
Mess with the bloke, though,
he was fast the weekend, like really good.
Looks like Joel Smets.
He just gets on with the job. Do you know what I mean?
Out the way.
But he looks when he rode Suzuki and he rode the other bikes, he looked really big on the bike.
I think he suits
it really well.
It's quite a tall bike, the Husky, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I quite like it, the racing now. Like, you know, like if you go back like a few years, like kind of found, or me personally, I found the MX1 class boring to watch. Like it was more
I used to watch the MX2 was the one I used to love. But
now like it's intense. MX1.
But the MX2 was boring the weekend.
Yeah. I think
the MX1 was more exciting.
I think we're in like the golden age of MXGP right now. You look how many world champions are in that class. So you've got Caroli, Hurlins when he's here. You've got Fairbury when he's not injured. You've got Geyser. You've got Jonas, Tixier.
Yeah.
That's 6 world champions.
I think that is one positive spin that's come off that 23 rule. Is like you got like the best ride. You got the 30 of the best riders in the world in that class now. You know, like.
But the biggest thing is, you know, we're on about the age rule and stuff. The biggest problem is there ain't enough teams to run the riders.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what they need, is more teams in there.
Yeah, just financial, isn't it? Like
that's the you know what I mean. If you had more teams, there'd be more. You know, you'd have probably a good lineup. You could have 40 like proper good riders on there.
But it's just budget, isn't it? You think there was meant to be 22 rounds this year, and how many of those were flyaway races in Hong Kong, China, Argentina? Like. Big commitment, isn't it?
That's a lot of money. Yeah.
So let's switch gears for a minute, and let's go over the pond to Supercross. But before that, did you see the James Stewart thing?
Yeah.
Did you want the interview thing?
Is the second half of it come out?
No, not yet. So there's have you seen it?
I watched it all.
Yeah, the half-hour interview thing.
Yes.
like, I found it really interesting, but what the hell? I don't know what they was doing with that. It was the weirdest video I've ever watched. Like, just the way, from like a filmmaker's point of view, it was just strange.
Just
like,
straight to answers. There was no questions.
Yeah,
it was,
and then like
there was no answers you wanted.
Yeah.
Some of the cuts they did, and like the kids crying, it was just strange. I thought.
Fair play to him. He was quite honest on it. That was quite
Yeah.
cool. Like, you know, like I guess he's another guy that's finished now, and he can kind of say exactly how things were with the teams he rode for and stuff like that. So that part of it was cool. It's always cool to see honest interviews. I think, you know. Like,
I always thought James Stewart was. Whenever you'd see him interviewed at the end of a Supercross race, or I remember when a few years ago they used to interview them straight after a heat race, like they'd get off their bike, take their helmet off, and just give them a microphone.
Yeah.
And every time James Stewart did that, it was ace. Like
he
is so good for like the PR and everything.
Yeah.
And just to see him like sit down and being honest, I thought it was really cool.
It was, but cool, but also interesting to see his kind of take on how it all was. You know?
Like. We all have this view on things like the Bubba scrub and like the battles with Reed and stuff, like, and how awesome that time was, and for him to talk about it and like to say, oh yeah, I can't really remember doing the Bubba scrub and like hated racing that year against Reed and like the perfect season, that was a terrible year, and you're like,
but it is true,
never heard
like,
that
you
insight
know,
before.
like that's something as a fan looking in, you think everything's golden all the time, and dude, even people that are already going through struggles, you know, like there's lots that goes on. You think when you're that good, how many people you've actually got in your team? You know, there's a lot of personality, and like, you just have to like conflict with one or two people, and then it's horrible. You know, like you literally just like looking at your watch, waiting for the season to end.
That's what we're saying about the year.
No matter how good or bad you're doing, isn't it? You're just like every weekend.
Yeah.
Really?
The year he went 24-0 in the interview, he was saying that like we was just waiting for it to end. Like my contract was up, I knew I was leaving. Luckily, there were some professional people in the team.
It was quite funny when he said, I think it was, they said it was a 450. I don't even know what it was, but it was terrible.
Yeah, he was bashing that bike, wasn't he? Yeah. I just thought it was like, it was really interesting. I watched the whole thing. Like, I was sat in there and I just watched the whole thing like straight half an hour. But then it was just like a weirdly put together. I was like, after the teaser, I'm expecting like some like Netflix documentary type thing. I just thought it was strange.
I was expecting like, you know, like, I get to the end of like watching the Townley thing and the Langston thing and the Ryan Hughes thing, and you're like, yeah, that was sick, you know. Like I'd spend another 4 hours watching that. When I got to the end of Stuart's thing, I was like, I don't know, a bit
peculiar. But like just because it was him and you just want to know what he was going to say, you watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of strange. He never, you know, he's actually never physically come out and gone, I'm done.
Well, that's what this was essentially, wasn't it? He did say a few times, now I'm done racing, now I'm done. But he never, like when Dungey retired, when Villapota retired, it was a whole big event, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Stuart never got that, which is a bit sad, I think.
But was he done, Stuart, because he couldn't get the sponsors back and get the right deal he wanted, or was it? I
think he knew. I think like as an athlete, he kind of,
because in the interview he was on about that last season, he just didn't enjoy riding because he knew he couldn't win.
Yeah.
So.
But he didn't put himself in a position to win. I'm not knocking the kid, but you know what I mean. Like, if you know, it's difficult to know if he got the level of support back again to give him that opportunity. He might not have, you know, and the body clock suddenly catches up with you. Again, you know, it comes to that FIM thing again, you know, with poor old Brock Tickle still hasn't got an answer. I mean, that's
like, it must be a year now.
That's not normal, it's more. Like, that's just casi.
Yeah,
that's like getting a speeding fine and then keeping it for 2 years and going,
we don't know how much we're going to charge you yet, but...
You know, I mean, it's crazy. And I think with Stuart, you know, he's unfortunate that took 2 years out of him, basically. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of wrecked his career.
Yeah, it did actually do.
Yeah, it is a sad full stop, isn't it, really, to your career?
It is.
Like,
and he's just like, you know, he's completely gone from it, eh? Like Carmichael's still involved, and like guys like Tedesco still testing stuff. He's still doing little bits, but
I don't know how involved he is. But obviously, like the 7 brand is still quite a big thing. But I don't know how involved Stuart is in that.
Yeah.
But like you say, Carmichael's at every race.
It's quite, I don't know, like in a way it's quite cool. He's like either all in or out type of guy, you know. Like when he was racing, he's all in, and now he's out. But golf. He still watches every single race on TV. He said, you know, which is so obviously he still loves the sport. He's just, you know, he's had so many years of that having to be politically correct and sponsors this, and now he's got his time to just
chill
be a
with the
fan.
kids.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
And he'd probably be tired if he come to one event. Imagine how many people would ask him the same question.
It wouldn't even be fun.
He wouldn't come there to say that. You know what I mean? He just would be over
horrendous to like actually just I bet he's much rather just sit with a cold one watching it on the TV than have the stress of like imagine it like like as cool as what it would be to be as good as that guy, like to have that extra stuff that comes with it, man. I don't know. But
one of the interesting things I thought he said, talking about when he watches every race and he's talking about how he thinks Tomac should be winning every race. I kind of agree.
Yeah.
You watch Tomac, you think that guy's the fastest guy over there at the moment, but he's not winning.
Do you think he is?
I think, like
He's
you
the
said this
fastest.
last time,
He's
Tomac.
I think he can twist it. Like, he's got the potential to do the most
I
damage
maybe
on
sound
his
a
day.
bit critical saying that, but he ain't winning the race at the minute.
Exactly.
You know, and
But why?
But I think, like, it's going to sound like an arsehole for saying it, but I don't think, like, he's got as much natural talent as some of the other guys he's racing. I think he's the fastest, like, no doubt he's the fastest, but I think sometimes, like, the natural technique, talent, like, head, like,
I
you
think
know,
it's
mental
the
game.
mental game a lot with him.
But, dude, the guy's, he's unreal, you know, you can't really
he
take,
does
but
stuff in the line.
he's,
but there's
it's
a
just
lot of
weird,
people
you know,
gone
like stuff
from
like
the
on the
minute.
weekend when Webb passed him on the Musquin passed him on the finish
Like,
line.
that must be just a mental mistake.
But
And
for
I
sure,
swear he
something
does it a
like,
lot.
like I would say something's going on there because that Mark Williamson left Kawasaki.
There's a few
and stuff.
people gone, the
Something is-
engine guy.
Yeah, he
For
was
sure
there for
something's-
donkeys as well, wasn't he? That Mark
Something's not
Williamson?
100% there, I think.
Yeah, that's.
And obviously, like, as much as you think it doesn't, sometimes that does relay back into your race, you know, like when there's a happy environment, everything's sweet. Sometimes when there's, like I said earlier, there's like everything can be sweet and there's one or two people that you're not clicking with and it just
Eats it, yeah.
changes the vibe, you know, so.
Another way, because we had a conversation in the race truck at the weekend, and we talked about Tomac a whole lot, and we all put our pennies worth in, you know. And I looked at something. Maybe it's a point or it isn't a point. You'll tell me if I'm shoot me down if I'm not. But
Let me get my gun ready.
like yeah, good.
He's from South Africa.
You know, as a racer, you know, like say you go racing and you get beaten badly by, let's say, Hurlins.
Yeah.
And Calden MX Nations.
Yeah.
You have a really bad event. Do you not think that would affect someone like Tomac and people like that, where their confidence is like kind of knocks them a little bit? Do you think or not?
Yeah, for sure. For sure, if you guys, you know, 100% that race opened their eyes up.
You think
But
a
maybe
guy
they
at that
never
level,
recover from that. Do you know what I mean? I don't. That's
Yeah,
the
no.
second
But
time
you
that's
think-
happened
Yeah.
now.
There's always been that argument though, like it happens every time after the Nations the last few years when the States haven't got on the podium and the riders look all bummed. Then like next weekend they're Supercross tested and it's all forgotten about. That's what the kind of perception is from this side. It's like they just forget about that straight away. But maybe you're right. Maybe
I don't think
getting
they'd ever forget
beasted,
about it.
the red bud eats at you a little bit and knocks the confidence and
Like saying he's the fastest guy, dude. You go back when he was racing Dungey, like
Yeah.
he missed, like he DNF'd like a couple of races and only lost that by a couple of points. For sure, he's raced against some fast guys, but it's, you know, like a guy like Dungey, you could count on him the whole way through.
Yeah.
A guy
yeah.
like Musquin, pretty much the whole way through. Even Roxon, whole way through. You always know, or you don't, like you don't know, but you kind of like have the feeling
with,
at any time he could DNF a moto.
yeah,
you know?
with Tomac, it's almost like he's either going to win it like convincingly or he's going to make some mistake
yeah.
and finish bottom of the top 10.
Yeah, their championship, like both classes, are actually looking quite cool.
Yeah.
You know, after the misfortune that Cincerella had.
Yeah, I
Did
see
you,
that
did
the
you see
weekend,
that
yeah.
picture of him like charging down the bikes? Like
Yeah, what the one when he's trying
he
to push the
he
guy away.
pushed the bike out of the way and then
Why did
obviously
he
when-
do that, though? Like,
Because he
I
was
think
going to
it-
land on the
I don't
backside
think
of
so,
him,
dude.
I
I
think.
think if he kept his hands on, because when he pushed,
Yeah.
the bike went sideways,
Yeah.
and he actually didn't clip the guy, did he?
No, he didn't. But he maybe thought he was going to go.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I saw him take his hand off.
And the reason he crashed was because his bike was all
Yeah.
fixed.
he put something on I think it was Facebook or Twitter or something earlier. His GoPro and his explanation.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. But so what's your view in the 450 class then? Obviously Webb and Musquin again banging bars, going off the track. As from a team manager's point of view, what do you do in that situation?
My honest opinion is, you know, it's racing's racing. That's it. End of story. You know, like, you know, they'll probably, you know, at the end of the day, they're both winning, going for a championship. But, you know, at the end of the day, if it was me or Neville or you going for that championship, and it come down to it.
Yeah, see you later. Sorry, Neil.
Yeah,
You did it at the MCA on the weekend for 5th.
Yeah.
you're going off the track, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
No, for 6th. It wasn't even for 6th.
We won't talk about that. The old boy will be after him.
6th. No, he was sweet after the race. He half-fived me and everything. I was waiting for it, but he half-fived me.
But you did have pump up there. You told me.
Dude, I don't even know how I opened up the throttle to nail him.
Yeah.
I literally went like that, wheelied, and he was just there. Lucky he was there to stop me because I didn't get off before I hit the dude.
But on my story, not my story, on that question you asked, I think before the season's out, there's going to be fireworks.
Oh, 100%.
And for sure, Musquin needs to get on it. Like, you know, if he wants to win it,
fair play,
last he had that thing last year with Tomac, didn't he?
fair
And
play.
didn't see like he handled it great.
No,
Neither of them.
yeah, but like in the past years, he never ever did stuff like that. So it's actually cool to see him have some balls and nail. But I think
no, Webb will get him first.
Yeah.
Like he won't even
I think
worry
in
about
that,
it.
like in that mental game between those two, like I would go with Webb.
Do you know Sean Lawless did an article on you a few years ago, and he called you a honey badger?
Yeah.
I feel like Cooper Webb's a honey badger. He's a honey badger.
Yeah.
Like
Explain that to me, honey badger.
It's like a fierce animal, isn't it?
Pound for pound is the most fierce animal in the world from Africa. Honey badger. It's only about that big, but pound for pound.
I wouldn't want to go in the corner with you. I have 3 times.
Yeah, pound for pound is. But dude, like as you say, like going for a championship, and like as we've always said, the first guy you got to beat is your teammate. You know, like you go back to the awning or whatever, dude. Like the guy's like, yeah, he beat you. That pisses you off, you know, for sure. That's the way to go. But you know, like when I was younger, I had a bit of stress at the teammate once, and I ended up making one of the worst decisions of my career.
What, changing team?
Left the team literally straight last round, going for second in the British Championship. My teammate took me out. Jake Nichols beat me by 1 point, and I left the next day. I did the destinations the next week and left the next day, and it was the worst move one of the worst moves I've ever made in my career.
But I think that's where I've got to, because I was chatting to some people the weekend. That's one thing I realised, because when Cass, we had 4 riders one time in the team, and we had De Dijker, we had Coppins, and you know, De Dijker, like great guy. He always wanted to beat the teammate first. And my argument was, it's not the teammate you need to worry about. Beat everybody. If you beat everybody else, you're beating your teammate.
You just got to hope you have a good teammate that's good.
Do you know what I mean? But that's why a lot of people put their emphasis on your teammate, and you know, your emphasis is on winning. That's where not your teammate. And a lot of teams, I think, get into that. And you know, I beat my teammate and I finished 5th. Yeah, 5th ain't good enough.
No.
Yeah.
You know, but it is when you're getting beaten by it, like I don't know if I don't think I've ever had like where I've normally been like most of the teams I rode for was just me with the DB Honda setup.
You've beaten the teammate.
Yeah, most of the time, but like practicing and stuff, as I said in the podcast before, like when you're the first teammate to practice with, it's good for you. Yeah, you just got to
get on with
beat everyone, but first of all, you want to like.
And that's what I noticed. You know about that. Last one thing I noticed. One thing we didn't cover before was when I was over last week. I haven't been to Holland for a few years practicing. I've been with Bobby last year a few times, but it wasn't as busy as it was this week for Valkenswaard. And KTM, Husqvarna, they get all the riders they want. You know, they're the main riders they have. They hire the track. They get them all going together. Caroli was there. Prado wasn't there, but like who's the other KTM guy? Viale.
Yeah.
Anstey, Coldenhoff, the 2 Rockstar guys, and all there practicing together. So the speed they were creating when they were practicing was
like a race.
Pretty impressive.
How impressive is that, like when you go to Lommel and you see the GP guys doing 40-minute motos?
That's it, yeah.
Dude, like it's an experience. Like I've been there coaching a few times and literally just been like, right, take 10 minutes. I just like
you're watching,
and they show up in their cars. The team's already there. They jump on their bikes, dude, and they just got a mechanic, and it's like 40 minutes, and you can see they're pacing each other around the track, and there's like 10 of the top 20 GP riders are there, you know, and that's why in Europe they've evolved, you know, like you're racing weekends, you're doing like two practices, a racing lot, and then the week, dude, those guys are almost like having another 2 days of racing during the week. So the whole time the level's just coming up and up and up. The tracks are breaking up, you know, it is.
And the work they do, that was on Thursday. The work they do on a Thursday before a Grand Prix.
Impressive, eh? Like those.
Yeah, and
you know, like those boys, you know, they earn their money. Like you think, like going to Lommel and they're all doing it, eh? Like all they do their sprints, they do their motos. It's such a cool thing to see, like athletes that are putting that much time into their jobs. You know?
Yeah, and the weekend's probably easy for them. Like I think
that's what you said
before,
last time,
they put that much hard work in the week. The weekend's probably not a stroll in the park, but their riding's less, and they're probably like, oh yeah, I can do them 2 30-minute motos, piece of cake. You know what I mean?
That's another thing, like going back to the whole, you know, European riders on that level. Like I don't want to knock anything. It's hard, you know, like, but we've been honest and speaking. Like you go practicing in England, you go to a practice track, and there's a 20-minute session.
Yeah.
So you've lost 2 or 3 minutes getting on the track, so you're probably gonna have a 50-minute session, and then you're gonna wait 45 minutes till your next session. So those guys are doing 45 minutes at a time.
Yep.
And you're going to get like 13, 14 minutes out of the session. So it's hard to, you know, even for the kids on the 85s and stuff, you know, like they're not actually getting their
full
20, 30 minute motors in to build their base to progress to that level.
But the other thing is, what I noticed at Veldhoven, the track was savage.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can go to, say, Mildenhall, for example, and the track's groomed, nice. And, you know, you get people here, they'll go to, say, I've been VIP today, mega track. And the track's got nice wood chip, lines coming really good. And I've been a few tracks recently, but that track last week at Veldhoven, I can nearly think that half the people in the pits today would have got to Veldhoven and gone, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Where then everyone, from amateurs on, you know, 89, there was a couple of 89 Hondas there last week, like all the bikes going around that track, rough as hell.
Yeah.
And that's another difference is, you know, like they...
That's what motocross for them is, though. Those,
Exactly.
Yeah, that is motocross for them. Like, those guys will go to those smooth tracks and they won't find any enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
It's just a different scene, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
and, you know, and you can see then why the young kids, like, kind of have in Europe especially, they're coming on strong, because if you can do 20 minutes around Veldhoven, you know, it's pretty impressive, because when the pro guys had finished in the morning, they'd hired the track, and then 1 o'clock the track opened.
Yeah.
You know, I can't look to try and fall.
Forget that.
Good luck today. Do you know what I mean?
Enjoy
you know,
that.
and like Brilikov was there,
Yeah.
and like
Russian guy.
He had just a massive crash over the bars, cartwheel down the track. One bump just spat him off,
Yeah.
and because the bump was such hard before it jumped, it was a massive crash. He jumped up, and I was like, it's best we don't push too much around here today. Do you know what I mean? Because it was catching like some really
I saw
good
his
rider
old
snaps.
Instagram, he put a photo on it. Was, it's
Savage.
Yeah.
Savage. And we stayed there for the next day.
Yeah.
You know, and then the next day we got there, Koldenoff was there again, hired the track. Tommy was there riding in the morning. And I was
But then you
thinking,
go back to the destinations, dude.
Yeah.
You do motors on tracks like that during the week.
Well, I noticed that I stayed in California before, and you go to their tracks in SoCal, and they're like prime. Every time you go there,
you're like you're gonna win the bridge when you come back.
and you go there, and say it rained, like we had a wet week and it rained. You go to the track, and it'd be empty. None of the local guys. Obviously, you got the pros out there doing the motors, but the local guys are like, nah, if it's raining, if the track's not prime, we're not there.
That's the same in South Africa. Like you go practicing in South Africa, and like you'll have like 4 or 5 guys on the same times. Like you literally, you could ride until your tank runs dry.
Yeah.
You know, and you feel awesome, and you're scrubbing everything, and you're hitting all the ruts sweet.
that didn't happen for me today.
No.
And the track was flat.
You get a flight to South Africa to world, dude. You know, and then that's just the difference, you know. And then you get guys that are doing motors on tracks like that. It's just, you know, like you're constantly learning when you're riding tracks like that. You're getting fitter, you're getting your bike set up good, like everything just seems to roll. But you know, it's also, you know, like to start off, that's not going to be fun, is it? Like,
No,
when
That
you're
won't
learning
be
how
fun
to
if I
ride
went
those
out
tracks.
now. That would not be fun.
But you do that for 9 months, and then it is fun for you,
Yeah.
dude. And then, you know, but
your whole body gets stronger.
Yeah.
Your whole everything
you
gets
learn
stronger.
how to ride the bumps. You learn how to choose the lines. It, you know, just develops you as a rider, I think.
Brilikov didn't get it.
Right, so on that note,
mine back to Russia through the sand.
well, on that note, then let's take a break. We'll talk about our sponsors here. B-Moto. So I've told Nev earlier, I've not told you.
Yeah, no.
So B-Moto they're an insurance company.
Yep.
So when I go like out testing and stuff for dirt bike rider,
Yep.
go out to Europe or America or stuff riding bikes, we need like insurance.
Yep.
For riding dirt bikes out in different countries, and
Okay.
it's a lot harder than you think it would be.
It is, yeah.
So stumbled across this company B-Moto. It turns out they're local to here.
Yep.
So just around the corner from us. Got talking to them. They got the perfect policy for me to do what I was doing.
Yep.
And talking to them, and they're specialist bike insurance. So
Yep.
mainly road bikes, but they do a lot of dirt bike cover as well. So we're taking a little break here. Nev and Neil, they've gone for a pee break, so we've got 5 minutes. Just want to say a massive thank you to our sponsors for this week's show, B-Moto. B-Moto, they're an insurance company. They're local to us, so it's great for us here at Too Fast. They do repatriation insurance if you're out riding your bike in Europe or further afield. They do that. They do insurance for bike theft. They do insurance for race van cover, for injuries. So personal protection insurance, they do a lot, and they're a great company. They understand what we as bike riders need. They're bike riders themselves, so they're a great company to work with, and I really appreciate B-Moto coming on board. I personally got in contact with B-Moto because I was struggling to find repatriation insurance last year, and they sorted me out. I realise they're a cool company, great guys to work with. And yeah, if you've got any insurance needs or anything like that, check out BMoto at www.bmoto.uk, or you can give them a call on 01733 907 000. Once again, that's BMoto, great guys. Thanks again for coming on board with the show, and check them out. All the details you'll find in the links down below. I wouldn't want a sponsor on board that I don't think's cool, if you know what I mean, and wouldn't.
Well, if you try and get bike insurance, it's like nigh on impossible. It's harder, Like, it's good for me to know that name as well, because like, for instance, you know, you try and look into it, it's like, it's a tricky world to get that. There's always, you know,
always something that doesn't match up.
And if someone understands it, they know exactly what you're calling about, and it can make your life easier as well.
Support the people that support the sport.
Exactly. So let's jump into our main topic for this afternoon then. The title of the episode. I think we're going to have some good picks here, especially you, Neil. So our topic this week is...
Neil could be one of them.
You could be one of them.
You watched my Hawkstone video, didn't you?
Yeah.
Being Smets. So, I had to let him buy that day. They were told me to let him buy. No, they didn't.
So our topic is... Who is the best rider never to win a world championship? And we'll take that across the pond as well. Who's the best rider never to win like a 250 title? We'll exclude like East Coast, West Coast stuff.
Yeah.
Or like main class title in America.
There's a lot of choices. A really big... That's like quite a...
There's a lot of guys that
for me,
come close.
Growing up, I'll let you think about this, but for me, growing up, it was always the Everett show, right? And then I think it was 2007.
I spoke to Stefan last week.
Did you? Is he coming on?
I didn't ask him that, but he's getting better.
Is he getting
That's
better?
the main thing, yeah. He's been through hell, but he's getting better.
Was he there with Liam?
Liam, yeah.
He was there?
Yeah.
So for me growing up, it's always the Stefan Everett show, right? And then he retired in 06.
I think he did, or 07, 07.
I think it was 6.
06.
And then
06 he raced.
And then in 2007, Josh Coppins came along. And it was Josh Coppins' year to win the World Championship.
Sure that wasn't 06 or 07?
No, it was 7.
He left us that year, he was on Yamaha.
Yeah.
So.
And then Coppins came in.
Yeah.
Coppins should have won that world title, right? So you obviously know Josh. He's my pick.
I've got to go with it, because one thing I learned from Josh, like, fantastic guy, fantastic person, and his work ethic. He was one guy who fetched it home to me that, you know, if you start a season off and you get a rider comes in, Neville isn't one of these riders, but you get a rider comes in and you go, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes. Josh was the person who come in and had that fitness to just go, boom, 30 minutes straight. His first time on a bike in, let's say, 2 months. And his professionalism of that fitness, I'm giving you a compliment there because you're a fit person. That's how. So don't think I'm not saying you didn't.
Dude, you obviously weren't at the weekend. On the weekend.
Yeah, pump up, dude. But no, he was really professional guy, and you know that year he rode the Yamaha and he had a 100-point lead. That was one of the cruelest things ever to happen, probably in motocross. You know, because that guy to me is a world champion. The way he rode, the races he did, like he did one race for us which was really, really special. It was in Desert Martin. He beat Stefan that day, fair and square.
That was when Stefan was going for like a perfect season, right?
Yeah, that year, Stefan, you know, them type of conditions, perfect for him. Like, you know, he can't really be beating them. Mm-hmm. Josh come back, haunted him, did him, won the meeting. You know, and I remember Fabio, the mechanic that day for Josh, and obviously, you know, we were just like mega, like fantastic day. So yeah, for me, it's quite simple. For me, it's him. Like he deserved it. He didn't get it, which is really, really cruel. But to me, I'd class him in that category.
If you can beat Stefan Everett, you're in that sort of.
He was also really strong, you know, and that year it went wrong for him, you know. I think that happened with Ramon twice. I think he got a world championship like that.
That was from that season he won the championship, actually.
And I've got to say, Steve Ramon, fantastic rider, you know, but I don't class him as Josh Coppins. Do you know what I mean? And it's just the way.
I remember that day at Desert Martin. I remember
you were probably riding there.
I was, and I remember Josh lapped me and Stefan lapped me, and there's still 40 minutes to go, and I was in about 14th, 15th.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, honestly, like, it's still 40 minutes to go, and we're getting lapped. And dude, they're the only two guys that lapped us that day.
Yeah.
They must have been like over a minute ahead of third place. Like, it was a special. Obviously, like Josh
Race,
had like a special race, and Stefan obviously wanted to keep his thing, and those two guys were just on fire, man.
Well, I walked to congratulate Josh at the end of the race, like I would that, you know, every GP, and then I walked in the awning, and Stefan, fair play, looked properly.
Yeah.
One time I saw him, thought, oh, Josh is properly. He's put everything into that, and he had no answer to Josh that day.
And also, like, Josh had come back from an injury halfway through that year. That's impressive to be able to, you know, get your level that high after an injury.
But he did a lot of work. That's what I mean. Like, when he turned up after every winter, like, he, you know, you could go to the track and he'd just go, right, okay, set the clock, 20 minutes, boom, straight away. You know, not 2-3 laps. He'd be there 20 minutes, come in, and then when he sat down, he'd have a proper, you know, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this, all constructive stuff. And he's probably one of the most professional riders I ever worked with. Like, he showed me another level the team needed to be at. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw Josh ride, probably about 2.5 years ago now, at the Vets World Championship at Glen Helen.
Yeah.
He still trucks.
Yeah,
He still goes.
Yeah, he still goes, yeah.
What about you?
I would say I'm going to go with Robbie Herring on this one, just because, like, when Greg was racing in South Africa, like, Robbie was one of the guys that could beat him, you know, like they raced together, they beat each other, like, they could swap wins, you know, and for Greg to go on and win 3 world championships, you know, and Robbie get close, and, you know, like obviously I wasn't around that era, but like the Motorvision boys and stuff, like, they always said, like, Robbie was one of the most talented riders.
I raced against him,
and I think he got second a couple of times, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure he will have done. He won. I'm sure he won in 87, 88. He won the USGP race.
Yeah.
Or he cleared off from Ricky Johnson or something. Like,
he jumped that jump and did his thumb, didn't he? He tore that thing between his thumb at that race. He was gone. He was like 30 seconds gone.
Yeah.
But saying that, so I'd say, you know, with the talent he has and stuff, him. But going back to what you said about Josh, like I was obviously, like, Coops helped me a lot in my career, and I spent some time with him. Paul Cooper, and man, like, you know, like you say, like, some people, I'm going to go all in on something, and they think they're all in. Like, this was like another level, Coops.
Yeah.
Like, weighing food, motos, testing, like, you know, like, that guy put everything in to win 10 world championships.
I ran him for 1 year. I agree with you.
And like, it is absolutely, like, you know, like, there's not a single shortcut in what that guy did in his program. Like, everything was like 110%, which maybe cost him in the end a little bit, like going a little bit too mad. But like, dude, like, when you say all in, it's like, you know, like 6-7 hour cycles, motos every day, testing every day, dietitian, sleep, mental people, massages, trainer, like
all in. I remember when I was a little kid, maybe like only just started riding. We was at Mildenhall. I was wobbling around Mildenhall, and then Paul Cooper came flying by, and I was absolutely amazed. I was like, "This is the coolest thing ever." Paul Cooper's on the same track as me.
He was.
I must have been like 6 or 7.
Was sick, you know. Like, it's actually like, you know, it's a little bit sad. Like, if you look at the end of it, like, you know, like, he put a lot in, and, you know, he obviously has some good rides, 3rds, 4ths, and stuff. But like, dude, like, literally, you know, like I'd never put, you know, I put a lot into my racing, but like, not to that level, dude. Like, that was something else, you know. Like, I really, you know, it was cool for him, because like, straight away when I came to England, like, he gave me a program, and we're doing, like, you know, like, I started off on like between 15 and 20 hour weeks with him, you know, which I thought was a lot. But then, you know, like, when came back to England and we trained together, like, he was like twice that, you know.
But like, I haven't seen Coops for years, but like, I agree with you, but I'm just thinking what you've said there, and like trying to piece it together a little bit, because obviously I ran Coops, I think it was 02.
Yeah.
He won the British Championship for us, he did the World Championship.
Yeah.
Steve Payne was his mechanic for us on the team. And I'm just thinking there, what you've just said, I was thinking, God, like, Coops, you're right, it was like super fit, always did the motos, always did the riding. So then as you're speaking, I'm thinking, so what I've said about Josh, and what I'm thinking about Coops, and I can kind of see quite a lot of difference between them two people.
Yeah.
And the difference is, Josh was very, it's hard to say it, Coops was always training, always doing the food, always that. Where Josh was kind of his mind. He was a very different person to him.
I think he believed in himself a little bit more.
Kind of I wouldn't say like, I don't want to sound like I'm being wrong. It's like kind of arrogant, more
So,
not arrogant. Like he
believed a bit more.
Yeah. So do you think
kind of
didn't believe
I would say
that much? So he was trying to make up for that in
I
training
think that
and
last
food and...
little part.
But Coops might have done too
much,
if I remember, Coops had, like, if he'd kind of maybe be thinking, this is probably right, where Josh should go, okay, I'm going to take Thursday, Friday off, I'll be ready for the weekend. And then if he had a okay ride Wednesday, it was okay, I'm still ready for the weekend.
The GP,
Where Coops would have been, I need to ride Thursday to have a good feeling.
Stressing about, just overdoing it a bit.
And that I would say was a little bit of a difference between those two.
But then again, it's trusting yourself, isn't it? Like Josh trusted himself, where Coops is like, maybe I need to do a little bit more, maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that.
Never
to
rest.
like kind of, I was the same. Like I spent a lot of time like overtraining and stuff as well, just because you want to do that well, that you're willing to do. But sometimes you get put back by it,
And also Coops, he come from nothing to where he come from. Like I remember doing a French international, and I'm pretty sure he was living in the back of his Transit from race to race. And I'm pretty sure there was, I could be wrong, I'm sure like he was, he had nothing when he come across. So Coops, fair play to him, built his whole life up with racing, and he was pretty good as soon as he got it, because he started off with Husqvarna, I think, and then went to Yamaha. Then it started to click with the Denacol. I think it was the pro racing guys maybe helped him to do with Robbie.
Yeah.
Then it started coming better. But you imagine Coops, like he started off with a can and then built his whole racing up to where he got to. So
so I think it's cool.
You kind of forget that a bit in them days, really.
I kind of think that's cool about a career. Like you can have somebody do well, like their parents got the campers, they got the best trainers, they got tracks in their garden, they can have 10 bikes if they want, they just swipe a diesel card. Fair play, you've done well. But you take a guy that's come from like nothing and done well.
Yep.
Like hustled, like from, like it's kind of like hard, like.
It's like
to put it into perspective, like it's kind of like a different scale then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Like, you've come from like having like, you've had to work to like just pay to go practicing, and then you've made it, like compared to like someone that started like with every single
with
thing.
everything you need. It's a big difference.
That's why people love Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor came from nothing. I watched an interview with him the other day, and he was on like Jimmy Fallon or something. He's like, 6 years ago I was a plumber on a building site in Ireland. Now he's like set for life. His family's set for life, and that. People like that, don't they? Because he literally fought his way to.
I think that the average person isn't well off. The average person is just making ends meet. Like when somebody that's the same as what you are makes it like that, it's like like that's possible.
Yeah, it's cool.
And you kind of forget that when you talk about riders. You look at like Coops, for example, to Josh Coppins, like where Coops come from to how he got up to a certain level. It's like quite a big job. It's not a big job. It's a massive job.
It's like you taking whatever you can, riding whatever bikes you can, whether they're good or bad, just because they're free. Yeah. You got to work your way that way. You're not going like, here's 40 grand, get me on a factory team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like what you were saying
a lot
with
different,
the Stewart thing. It's like we only really think about or remember like the end goal, the big picture. We don't see all the stepping stones to get to that place.
Yeah, like with the Foxing, buying him his house, or buying him that thing, like living in his.
It's like you just think, guys are millions, you can buy
but
this property.
Like I think a lot of the good people have got like a struggle, and I think it is the struggle that it's that hurt and that pain that fuels it.
Yeah.
I personally think that like you look at a lot of top athletes and stuff around the world, they've all there's all been struggled through, whether it's losing their parents, having no money, like everyone's got a struggle. And I think the people that actually see it through that and like gain strength from that are the people that actually achieve it.
100%. So going back to the main topic, then I think it would be a miss to not mention Kurt Nickel as a rider that obviously one of the most talented guys in his day. Never managed to get the title wrapped up. And I know Kurt a little bit. We've done some stuff with the magazine with him, and to this day, the guy loves riding. He's like you.
He rides a lot.
Just never stops riding. Like is
that's
full on addicted to riding.
Prince is doing Farley this year, so he's going
to ride.
No, after watching Kurt, I have to say, like I've not really been a fan of Kurt. I don't really know him, but when I was racing, when I started coming up, you had Kurt, you had 4P people like that there, and Kurt was one. No one really knew it. Like, he was hard to. You know, you're kind of lucky. You kind of like go, oh, I'll stay out of his way a little bit because he doesn't really say much. And I speak to him now a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you know, But I mean, last year at Farley, like, I'm pretty sure I said to him or his brother, like, I was gobsmacked. Like, you know, fair play to him.
He goes quick, eh?
He was properly trampling last year. Like respect to him for what he did last year, to be fair.
I spent some time with Kurt in America because he's got the holiday company, right? So we did a thing with the magazine over there doing that. And we was driving back and forth to track, just chatting away. And he just absolutely loves riding a bike. So pretty much every week he'll go to Glen Helen on a Thursday, which is the roughest, toughest track in SoCal.
Yeah, yeah.
And he'll bust out 30-minute motor, 2, 3 30-minute motors just every...
for the sake of it,
just because he likes riding. Like, the whole reason he set up this holiday company is because he wanted people to come over and ride with him. He wants to go out riding. He wants buddies to go and ride. So,
what you're missing, Max, is he can do that. Me and Nev would love to be able to do that.
I was just like blown away by it.
I met him when I did Farley that year, 2016 or 17. He qualified second. I obviously knew who Kurt Nicker was, but I'd never ever spoken to him. He was sound. He shook my hand. I'm Kurt, like whatever. And then is it his wife or his girlfriend?
It's a wife.
Yeah. She also came over.
American.
Like very cool. Like first time I'd ever, like, obviously you watch them, but yeah, he was sound. I thought, and dude, still fast, eh? Like,
oh yeah,
he's still.
Like I remember, I think it was 16 at Farley, and he was there, and he's like, Jesus, this guy's tracking for it. Like, fair play.
But I think Kurt, with his world championships, like, he was unlucky with injuries when he broke his femur, if I remember rightly, when he rode the KTM. And, you know, like, I had this conversation with somebody the other day. Someone wanted to buy a CR500, and a good friend of mine sells bikes. So I was like, I'll ask him what he's got. And, you know, if you go back to them days, if you get any old parts, like from a 500 Honda, like HRC 250, or you get a Kawasaki factory clutch cover or bits like that, you know, there's a big difference back in them days when, you know, if say we took Neville now to Farley and said, right, okay, you've got a KTM 500, you've got a CR 500 there. Like, for sure, you're picking the CR 500 all day. Back in them days...
The KTM 500 had the kickstart on the wrong side.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good bike, had big power. But I think back in them days when the bikes were older, I think there was a big difference. If you had a factory HRC Honda...
Big difference in it, eh?
Like now,
that's still a good bike now.
You don't really get a bad motocross bike now, do you? There's just ones that are slightly better than the others. Like, none of them are, like, terrible.
No, I think all of them, like every manufacturer now, like the bikes are, like, they're all on a par. They're all really good bikes.
I'd agree, yeah.
I'd say another guy in that mix has got to be Marnik Bavutz. He finished second a lot to Stefan when Stefan was... You know, in that kind of like phase before his last phase, when he was on like Rats and Honda and the Kawasaki and stuff. Bavutz was always there.
Yeah, he was good, yeah. But then, you know, you talk about Bavutz, there was another guy who was really, like, when he got the Johnson Suzuki, was really good.
Werner de Wit.
You know, there was lots of good guys.
I only know Werner de Wit from Farley Castle, from racing the vets.
Oh, okay.
And he hauls round there.
He was good, man.
But he, like, he'll hate me for saying it, but like he'd be having a fag and everything. Like, like no problems at all, and then still banging out a 40-minute motor around Lommel, and you're like, hold on a second.
One of the best races I've ever seen, like, in person, was between Werner de Wit and Ryan Hughes at Farley Castle in 2012.
Which ended in punching nearly, I think.
No, it didn't. Like, it nearly did on track. They was booting each other on track and everything, and then... Like, everyone ran over to the Rhino's tent to see what was going to happen. Yeah. And the Wit came over and he's like, oh, in the bushes, you need to put me in the bushes. And you're like, that was so funny. It's just like, he didn't care, he was just having fun.
It is cool when
I've got the clip of that. He was just like, in the bushes.
Some people still take that, like, when I did that Farley, some people still take it serious.
Yeah.
Like, geez, like, I don't care. Like, I'm there to
it's evolved,
drink some beer and enjoy the weekend racing. Some people are like, that is their weekend, isn't it? It's evolved massively from what it was 10 years ago.
I think Kurt took it pretty serious last year as well.
Yeah, 100%.
But
Brownie takes it serious. Brownie, like, after that one race with me, like, I was high-fiving the guy and he just rode straight past me.
I think last year he had a problem, or Billy got him, and I think he went down, or Billy took him down, or Billy maybe brake checked him, you know, the old classic, and he wasn't happy. Because I know Mike well as well, and Mike... Yeah. But that's hard to get rid of as well.
Yeah, but dude, like, when do you let that go? You just say, isn't it? Like,
it doesn't go sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Like, jeez, dude, like, just relax. We just got to put a show on for these people, you know? There's no prize money.
That's it.
What about them like more modern riders, I think Clement de Sal's a
I forgot about
good pick because he's how many times has he been second? And he's always been there, just behind Cairoli. Like,
but that's the kind of the world is, and we talk about the second place rider.
Yeah.
Because there's always a top guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could say that about Cairoli when Hurlins is there.
True.
You know what I mean? I hate saying that, but Hurlins is that good. And it's it's kind of just the way motocross is. I think. Do you know what I mean? There's always someone.
If James Paynton wasn't there, you'd be winning everything, wouldn't you? In your day.
I chatted to him today, and I did say to him, "Remember '99?" Do you know what I mean? But it's kind of
Someone's got to win every single time you race.
Exactly. It's awful to say it.
Somebody's going to finish last every time.
Exactly. Like Bavert's was never as good as Everts.
No.
There was clearly a big difference.
Sal, then, isn't it?
Well,
kind of the last one I'll mention is Tommy.
Yeah.
Well, he's had how many seasons? 8 was that close. 12 he was that close to winning a world championship.
He came close.
He came really close.
I was actually thinking about Tommy, like obviously with kids coming through and stuff, and you see like a lot of the kids win the amateurs, and then it takes him 3 or 4 years in the British to like get to the top 5. And like Tommy, his first year was podium in British Championship races in MX2.
Yeah.
And I think he podium GPs as well.
Yeah. Like we're talking about fast track career. He was
he was there straight away. He did some under 21 races. I think he got thirds, and then he won that championship.
Yeah.
But first season podium in British into GPs, qualifying straight away, and had a podium his first year. It's been a long time. I don't think we have seen anyone since then.
Not
going straight to that level from coming from the youth racing in England.
So did he went to America? I think in 2009 because he had the season in 2008 against Rattray.
Yeah.
And Cairoli crashed out, and then in 2009 he went to America.
Was it that late? Was it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was.
2008.
Yeah, because Tyler won in 08.
Yeah.
And he beat Tommy was second, and then Tyler and Tommy went to America the next year.
And Tommy got injured, didn't he?
Tommy,
pretty much instantly, didn't he?
He didn't do the Supercross that next year.
Did the first one and injured
himself.
himself.
Yeah, that's it.
But I spoke to Tommy. I'm sure he was 3rd overall in the outdoors that year as well.
Yeah, he was number 1, 2, 3. I think when he got the muscle milk.
He had a couple of podiums as well. Yeah.
That was in a time as well when KTM wasn't like it is now.
Yeah, in America it wasn't. Like in Europe there was.
In Europe. Yeah. But over there it was.
MDK Speed, wasn't it? I think at the
time.
time.
It was Muscle Milk KTM.
Yeah.
And then he had one more season there, didn't he? And he came back in 11.
I think Tommy's he's suited to the MX2 bike. Most of his success has been MX2. I think he rides an MX2 bike awesome.
But one of the best seasons I remember is 2012 with him versus Hurlins. How much stuff that happened that season.
And how many people can spend a season racing against Hurlins as well, Tommy was pretty special.
Yeah.
And then that year as well, didn't Tommy win the English GP that year as well?
GP, yeah.
Didn't he win both motos over?
Yeah, because that was the year that with the Pocock incident with in Portugal, Hurlins was lapping Pocock and he came over.
Oh, okay.
And then he did the post-race interview and was like swearing at him and stuff. So
Hurlins
was like public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
At home, and then Tommy came out and won the race. That was like the best weekend ever.
Yeah.
That's good times.
Funny racing is funny.
Now, there's too many names to mention. We were just talking there's too many names to mention for the bigger picture.
Yeah, there is. Tommy. Like I worked with him in December. Like he's superb rider. Superb rider. And I think at the moment, like looking at the weekend, he's just, if he can get out the gate, he's going to run up there. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be between 4 and 6. He's got the speed. It's just basically.
It'd be nice to see him have a season like that. Get back into between 5 and 10 would be quite cool.
The problem is it's the level. Again when I watched that that Cairoli GoPro, we can get them out now all from the heat race, the 2 races. It's like he's paid to get the whole shot. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean it you kind of watch and you think God, he's got another whole shot. You watch the Prado kid. They must be having drinks with the guy kicking the board down.
They know how much easier it makes their life, doesn't it?
But you imagine also it's okay for us to say that, but you know, you
Doing it's a different story.
Yeah, like
They seem to do-
everyone's got the same thinking, aren't they?
they seem to do it for every start, you know. And
I think it's a confidence thing, though. Eh? Like if you like, I've had it before. When you set in the line, you know you're gonna hold shot. You hold shot.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you
I
know.
think
Like
most.
he must roll up on the line every time. Like he's got a good power to weight ratio.
Yeah.
He's light. You know, like he's
Or
obviously
he's
like
just-
set up good for the starts. He obviously practices his starts, but he's always been. Even when he first came on that Yamaha, that's kind of why he learned so quick. I think because he was always at the front of the race, learning from those guys at the front. You know, you obviously always learning from people you're racing around.
Yeah.
And you know, he was always at the front. You know, and then spend a little bit more time every single week. He'd spend a couple more minutes with those guys, and by the end of the season, he was, you know, he'd learned so much through that year. Like he was winning races at the end. You know, like so he's always been good out the gate. But
Yeah.
you know, it's obviously something he works on.
Yeah.
You know, like I know KTM that one year when they had that special gearbox, like no one could beat them out the gate. You know, like obviously all the other manufacturers have caught up with that now.
But I think Caroli as well, like you're saying, he was learning because obviously he's come from Italy, from Sicily, hard pack tracks,
Yeah.
and now he's known as one of the best sand riders in the world. And I remember, it must have been like 7, 8 seasons when there was like, yeah, Caroli's been working on the sand, and all of a sudden he was just the best in the sand. So he must naturally be able to soak stuff up and learn and work on.
I don't see how
things.
you can be at the front of the World Championship unless you live in there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, if you go there every week, go that Valdoven, or you go into Lommel, or you base yourself there, it can only go positive here. And Caroli's done the hard work before in the sand. Now he's learned how to ride it. He probably just tops it up all the time, where he's done that years ago, because he's been good 5, 6 years now. He's been like...
Because he lives in
But even when I look at Lupino, like on the weekend, was, you know, for like half the motor, he was good. So he's, you know, he's also from Italy. He was never good in the sand. So a lot of people, a lot of people work at it, spend their time there, and it does pay dividends in the end, I think.
It does, yeah, 100% really.
Right, on that note then, we'll wrap up for this week. Thanks again, lads, and
No problem.
thanks again to B-Moto for sponsoring us. Check those guys out. Everything, all the links will be down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Check out Nev on at Nevster272. What, 272 Race School on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Neil still doesn't have an Instagram or Facebook or anything. He's just spinning spanners on the weekend. So thanks again, lads. We'll catch you next week. This has been a plug, so thanks again.